what we used to hold as credible.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
At this point, I think we're going on. It is Wednesday, and as usual on Wednesday evenings, we gather here for a little chit chat. I am G. Michael Reed. In the room with me right now is Gregory Morrison from the west coast of the United States. I, of course, am in Belize City, where it has cooled down considerably. And we were talking there, Gregory, about the whole climate change issue. But it might not be the biggest issue facing us anymore. For a while, it has us fixated there. But I, 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 I think we both agree that the climate changes is, yes, it's real, it's natural, but it has been happening for a long time. And I don't know that it's to the point of alarm that they're trying to get us to think it is. What do you think? Are we to be concerned, or
Well, I think we do have to do what measure we can to kind of slow it down and reverse it to the extent we possibly can. As we put more human beings on the earth, we put more transportation mode of moving people around. It's not very likely. We need to try and look at employing measures that would be climate change neutral in terms of CO production, and we start addressing those slowly. It's not always in the interests of different countries at different points. I'm thinking of Guyana just finding a ton load, trillions of dollars worth of fossil fuel below their water.
you
In the sea.
kidding? They found more
And
oil. They already had a lot.
yeah, they already had a lot, and they found even more, and apparently the area that has been explored, there are potential areas that is even more um, promising.
Oh,
And then we try to tell those countries now that they're going to be reaping something. Hey, this is not the thing we want to do, right?
well, listen, we're telling ourselves that because we've been fighting this offshore drilling for a while, and certainly we've been fighting the one down south, which seems to have been is now a losing battle because they've gone and they glorify the whole signing of and what you call it, the people that are down there again, U.S. What we call it, the oil company that's
Explorer.
drilling down there.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, a B.
yeah, but anyway, they've meshed out a deal, hammered out a deal with the Mayans down there, and
Mhm.
apparently they've gotten to go ahead and will be doing seismic testing once again,
Yes, yes.
if that's the term.
Yeah,
Um,
and to me, we need to kind of employ every resource that's available. We need to manage things carefully.
manage is a key word
Manage,
because
and then make sure that the distribution of whatever wealth is derived from it reaches the people also, and not just the pockets of a few.
I
I,
wish you
I
well on
mean,
that one. I
yeah,
wish you
some of the
well.
deals that Guyana had made with some of the oil companies were pretty bad. I understand. In terms of a lot of giveaway, a lot of front packing for the oil companies, and little for the state. But in some of the newer blocks that they are now exploring and signing on to, it's a little different deal that has a little bit more benefit for the country and the people. And then
Well,
we hope for some more equitable distribution of those resources to the common people. And that's where it fails most of the time.
well, it depends on the leadership you have in place, because you might say that it was a bad deal for the country, but for those individuals who did the signing off and stuff, they are sitting pretty, and will
Yes.
be for a long time. So there, that is where we have to, I imagine, look at most carefully who we put up there to represent us in the signing off on these agreements. Do you have the best interest of the people in heart? Is this a person who doesn't have any ulterior motives and whatnot? And how do we do that? How do we get the proper people in place, sir?
Yeah.
When particularly when everybody seems to be
Well,
in
that's
this
why I
day and age.
believe in full disclosure of those things, that before they sign any contract, it is gazetted, it is brought to even before we sign it, it goes to the House. It has some ways of public hearing and all those things. And the more we do that, the better and less. Whenever you have these things, there's going to be a level of corruption, and it's hard to not have it. But what we want to do is minimize it, and by making it more transparent, that is the key to lessen the degree and the level of corruption that finds itself in these type of deals.
I think the key is that we have to have an infrastructure in place, and that we rely upon a mechanism as opposed to people. People will fail you. Of course, you have to have people administering these systems, but we need to have a system that will catch as soon as something comes up.
Yes.
And there's a red flag that goes up,
Yeah.
and we know what to do then.
Yeah.
And there's we're not relying on any particular individual,
Yeah.
but a system in place.
A system, and putting it through a lot of ringers. Not one person, not two persons sign off on these things, but make it as broad as we possibly can without creating real obstruction to the development progress of these type of projects.
Yeah, with the experience we have, it has been tried and proven methods. So we have templates to go by, which is in our favor. Let's welcome Mr. Jose Coe to the show. And Jojo, how are you?
I'm fine, Mr. Chairman.
All right, your mic sound good today. They beat up on you and rough way up this evening. Yeah, we're going to talk about drilling, offshore drilling and oil exploration. Gregory was informing us that the news that Guyana has found some more reserves of oil. They already had quite a bit. How about Trinidad? Trinidad find anything lately? Because they were doing well for a while.
But they have oil, and they've been developing oil in Trinidad for 50 years.
And their people have been seeing some benefits. There are a lot of people out there that got wealthy, well off at least, no? And the country was rich. So the key,
but still, there's significant pockets of poor, and there's lots of crime there right now. I think just recently I was reading something that in the year so far they have had like 500 murders, some of the same issues of gang that plagues Belize, and also they had found a large cache of high-powered military-styled weapons there just recently, like I think like 50 or 60 ARK and bullets and stuff, ammunitions. So they have their own problem, and it worries everyone, about these things.
Well, I think we're heading to a world war. I hate to
we're heading to it. I think we're in it. We've been in World War III for a long time now.
Well, I think this now is because there's a move in many, and we're not getting it on the mainstream media. There have been some serious protests around the world. Even in many U.S. cities, there have been some strong protests, in particular as it relates to this recent bombing at that hospital with those children. Do you believe the narrative now that's coming out that in fact it wasn't the U.S. that did it, or not the U.S., Israel that did it, but in fact the Palestinians bombed themselves?
They have said that so many times, right? So many times that is always the story. I'm thinking in some time the truth will be known. They'll find what type of
many years down the road. It'll be many years down the road, though. You're not gonna get that now, because even if they find it, they're not gonna release it to create problems, and it will create problems.
Yes.
But nobody believes that narrative anyway. Right now, it seems like everybody is thinking that it's not likely. Now they released a tape recording of a telephone conversation between supposedly two Hamas leaders, one telling the other one, "Oh, it's ours." Kind of convenient, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, really convenient.
There's so much going on with those type of things that I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon to dismiss it or to accuse Israel at this time.
One way or the other,
I'm
yeah.
I'm thinking that it's up in the air, but we know how these things usually get played.
Right, right. But Gregory, I don't know. And you said you think we're in World War III already.
Yeah.
And you might be right because the evidence is there. Um, this situation, is there going to be any resolution at any point soon? I mean, and what would you suggest as maybe a way out of it?
Hmm. I don't see they've been going at the Israeli Palestinian Arab conflict for 75 years now, since Israel got placed in that area. And so and Israel just keeps expanding its territory by capturing the land of those countries, you know. And so I don't see much of a solution at hand as it stands right now. But but um the people at the Palestine and Arabs and them, they keep getting more squeezed in the smaller area. They're denied a lot of their rights and freedom and rights of movement and stuff. So I don't see it getting better at all in any way that would lead to peace. I mean, they've been talking, and there have been some Arab countries that have, for favor and protection of themselves and their own regime and mal government, have been signing on and adapting some of the policies of the West, and joining and making overture of peace with Israel. But I don't think, as long as Israel keeps that heavy hand on Palestine and the Palestinians, I don't think they'll be able to move forward, because their own people are going to start revolting against them in those regards.
Well, maybe then that is the solution. Let's hear from Joe, because Joe and I were having a conversation and he was looking at the historical aspect of it, how it all began, and why the situation is the way it is. Of course, Greg, this one would be right up your alley because they believe that the land was given to them by God. How did I anticipate that response? Joe, what do you think? How are we going to solve this problem, Joe?
Well, what should have solved it would have been a negotiation under the United Nations Charter. But what is unfortunate is the veto power. And seeing that the United States is in, and the United States has a veto power, but is supporting Israel, so it seems that negotiated settlement is not really no. And therefore, the alternative will have to continue to be confrontation. So I said to you this morning that I do not believe that Hamas was right in the sense of when he invaded Israel to have killed so many innocent people. And neither was Israel right when it retaliated and killed those innocent people. So I believe that there will be a period of war, or at least this kind of confrontation. And as you know, Hezbollah is on the other side of the border. And there have been a few killings there already, but it has not really erupted into any big scale. But I think that and this is only, no, I'm not the the military expert, but I do believe that Israel has some fear for Hezbollah. And if the United States, who I think has it in his hands to bring them to the table, if he doesn't act, we just got to hope now that we don't have further escalation of this war. But for right now, I can only say that both sides to me were wrong.
I think what I'm seeing here, though, is that the United States is not looking for peace, but to support one side over the other. I would have wanted to hear Joe Biden say, Israel, we stand with Israel as long as they are right, as long as they are doing the right things, as long as they remain peaceful and extend a hand of friendship to these people, or at least allow them to exist. But to suggest that we will support you unequivocally, no matter what where they go on, we got your back. You do what you want to do. In fact, we understand you have to go in there and crush Hamas by any means necessary. Um, I have an issue with that. Um,
Yeah.
it's just too carte blanche for me. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens though. This again though, we're looking at the map of Israel and the amount of land that was taken from the Palestinians to give to Israel and then cram 3 million people. And when I did my research and saw the size of Gaza is about the size of San Pedro. San Pedro is 27 miles long, Gaza is 25, and also a strip the same way. 3 million people. And what struck me was when the Israelis said, and we cut off their water and their light. Now, you would tell me 3 million people, they not even got only light plant for themselves, and with solar being what it is, and there's no water. They're near water, aren't they? I don't know, it's a sea though, so but there must be wells and things. Do they even allow them to produce their own electricity and water? But and 3 million people in a space that's small, there's not much room to do anything but live, sit down and wait for the aid that comes in, because apparently there exists an aid coming in also.
Yeah. Most of the Arab countries supports them with aid.
So is it just a prison camp?
That's what it has turned out to be, right? With 3 walls around you, back. The only other part is going into the sea, right? So, but what I wanted to say is that I think because of the way the United Nations is currently structured, it's almost illegal to me that 5 countries have the veto power and can make decisions that disregard 197 other countries or 192 other countries will. And so I'm thinking the current structure of the United Nations needs to be changed for it to be an effective and a democratic body. It is no longer an appropriate governance structure to have just those 5 countries with veto power. So something is going to have to happen, or countries may have to decide on their own. They need to get out of the United Nations and form their own organization and leave those countries that wants to do what they want to do in that body, because it is no longer effective and functional as an institution for world governance in its current structure.
Apparently, though, it seems like it was designed to be that way.
It was when you had it was when it I would never say it functioned well.
That's what I'm saying. Has it ever worked? Has it ever worked?
Well, because they dominated, right? They dominated the five main sovereign countries dominated it, and the will of them was injected on all the people. But now, as we're becoming a more multipolar world, as they put it, we see no need and no benefit and no democratic value coming out of that type of structure that serves a larger percentage of the world population.
You know what I think too is a big difference, has made a big difference, is social media. And many people condemn Facebook and say, social media is a problem. But information gets out and it's more available. And there's a time when they could fool you. They could give you whatever information they want. I remember when we used to sit around the radio and listen to the BBC or American Armed Forces, and this are the news that we get. and they took out snippets and put it on Radio Belize, and that's what we get. Now the information is far reaching. You can go out there and you can do your research if you're not lazy, which unfortunately many of us are. We still want to sit down and have it come to us. It requires some effort. So I think now that people are not just being spoon fed, if you will, it's a little different. They can't do it like they have been doing it, and I hope they'll realize that at some point. What I am looking at right now is I'm seeing from different sources that there's a lot of protests going on around the world, in every major country and in every major city of the U.S. even.
Yeah.
I saw there was a big protest in Washington, D.C. today, and it's like it's building up. We're not hearing much about that on the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And again, we get to what Trump said about fake news.
Yeah.
You know, looking also at the two presidencies. Joe, let me ask you this question. Now we look at the Biden presidency and the Trump presidency. And yes, Trump has, many believe that the worst thing ever happened to the U.S. But looking at it from a different angle, in the wars, it seemed that he was trying to talk to the leaders of Russia, North Korea, and some of the other countries. We didn't see this whole scale unrest that we are seeing now, and in Ukraine and in Israel, we've seen the U.S. throw their weight behind these countries again without reservations. Just all right, we got your back. Do you think maybe Trump wasn't given a fair shake as such and was crucified indeed in the media as he has been claiming?
Well, evidently, Trump had made overtures to the other great powers, which were just the opposite to the United States. For example, China and Russia. Trump had very friendly relations with them. So it wasn't likely that there would be any flare-up between the United States and Russia and China at the time. So some believe that this was very risky because he was really courting with the enemy.
But the enemy doesn't become the enemy until you develop some kind of a major difference like that between them. So it's not an enemy until you make it an enemy. Maybe they could be a friend. So when you say courting the enemy, maybe you're just courting a neutral entity that could be either friend or enemy. You see my point?
Yeah, but I think the United States has long ago drawn the line. They did have negotiations and discussions more with maybe China. And there was a period when, too, they were beginning to open relationship with Russia. But then again, you are dealing with two different ideologies. And when it comes to trade, maybe they can more work with trade. But I really don't see the solution right now to this problem, except that if the world moves away from this unipolar, bipolar, and more into a multipolar world, I think it will make the United Nations more effective to deal with these kinds of conflicts. But once you have this unipolar world, which is what it is almost now, with the United States being the number one power, I think you will continue to have these. And one Lebanese guy told me, who is very familiar with the politics of the region, he's from Lebanon, really. And he believes that what Hamas did was the right thing. He thought that Hamas was trying to get Israel to understand that they can, in fact, attack Israel. He knew that he would not have been able to succeed, but it was more to intimidate them into understanding that they can attack.
I think it was more than that. I believe they wanted to get attention to their plight, because there are many people in the world who would never have known what was going on until this. I was not aware of the gravity of this until something like that happened, and I had reason to go and do my research and listen to different news sources and whatnot. So I think what they did in that regard, no, they taking an innocent life is never a good thing. And to just go and wholesale murder people that you don't even know, because many good people might be in that crowd. So that is never a good thing. But I've seen news sources that was suggesting that Israel was taunting them, almost trying to aggravate them into doing something like this, so that they could then go in, have that reason to go in and crush whatever rebellion there was there, and maybe even extend their land holdings.
I think the point you made is one that has already been pointed out, that the Hamas move was indeed to bring awareness to the world now of the atrocities Israel was committed against Palestine. Hamas saw it as a kind of revenge. Remember, not very long ago, when that mosque, the Al-Aqsa, something like that mosque, when
Right.
the Israelis supposed to have bombed it, and they killed a lot of innocent children and women and civilians in that mosque, and that was a
Well,
Muslim mosque.
yeah,
And
but
some believe too that it was a kind of revenge. Well, Hamas did mention it in the attack, that they were citing it as a part of a retaliation or revenge for what Israel did to that mosque. But your point to make the world aware of the atrocities is no doubt a part of it. I asked the question though, and maybe I had discussed this part again with these people who claim to be the expert. Why is it that the United States is prepared to give this unwavering support to Israel? In other words, he panders to it. Israel can do no wrong in the eyes of the United States. And right now, the United States, as you know, is financing 20% annually of Israeli military budget. And that's a large amount, but that's what it does every year. So why is it that America is willing to do this for Israel? Some
Well-
believe that, well, America is not very popular in that part of the world, and that Israel is a surrogate for America, and it's very loyal to America, because so is Israel itself not very popular. So America will finance Israel.
Well,
because like
don't
the surrogate.
I would say don't dismiss the religious part of it that captures a significant amount of the mind's heart and pocketbook of many American, as they take that literal belief that God gave to Israel that land, and that they are entitled to it, and that He will come back again. The coming of Christ will be the ruling over that land for 1,000 years, and that that's the seed of where Jesus will come back and restore His earthly heaven, and then move on. So there's a lot of that type of thing that kind of fuels it, and that fuels the Republican Party base, and it does also fuel the Democratic
Democrats,
Party
yeah,
base.
yeah.
So
They're together on this one.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think they say about 60% of Americans are classify themselves as Christians,
Mhm.
and so it does a lot for this country, and how we frame ourselves and put ourselves. And I think they say, particularly among the older people, the younger people now are moving away from that. The younger people, particularly minorities of any mix, blacks, Asians, and Hispanics, which represent the majority of those, they are less likely to favor, supporting Israel to the hilt, with no regard for anything else. So
Of
so
course,
it is troubling.
of course, they're no longer been able to infiltrate, or no longer able to infiltrate the realm that makes such decisions, that says, well, we're going to send this amount of money to Israel. Right now, they're trying to find a speaker for the House.
Mhm.
And one of the key reasons they say they need to have that in place is so they can approve the aid that's going to be sent to Israel. So and what I find, that the Republicans and Democrats are together on this, and might indeed be the religious side of that, but also the media seems to have come together, as opposed to now they're the right and left. they're together on the Israel America, the pro-Israel move for America.
Well, we have to realize who owns most of the media establishments in the United States. You know, it is, and it's not by accident that it's in the hand of a particular section of American society, and
And
therefore,
The Jews own a lot, have a lot of money in there, of course.
yeah,
Yeah,
and therefore it's going to reflect those narratives.
those views. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I have noticed also, with the narrative, speaking of narrative, that they have injected in there now on 9/11. I've heard a number of the speakers, even the guys from Israel, saying, "Oh, this is tantamount to 9/11. This is like what happened with you in 9/11," trying to bring back fresh into the minds of the American people what happened in 9/11, make it seem like this is the kind of atrocity that was. And I don't know if that's exactly correct or fair to do, but it seems to be working.
Yeah.
So
Well, they say that Israel was ready with media blasts as soon as this happened to kind of push some type of its position, showing situations that probably was not the true, that no one else could verify. You know, they had all these things set up, so I'm sure there's something going on in terms of their ability to get their message out in the manner and in the character that they desire for it to be framed to the world audience, and they're doing that in Western countries, Germany, UK,
they're good at it.
France, you
That
know.
they're good at. Yeah,
Yeah.
Don't
they're
you
good.
think that move is more to the 9/11 comparison was to try to fuel the American citizen hatred towards Hamas?
Yes,
Yes,
indeed.
yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
what I
That's
think.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I
Yeah.
said.
Yeah,
That is
okay.
exactly why they put that in there,
Right.
and
And
they keep repeating it. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
and whenever you're attacked, you always want to claim the victim, but then sometimes you need to look and see why you're being attacked. And this goes for everyone that's being attacked, whichever country is being attacked. Why are you being attacked? Are you doing something to affect the lives of other people that's the only way they can get back at you at this very devious, undermining way of killing innocent people? Is that the only way? Are the military installations too hardened that they can't get at those, but they can show you they can be effective and affect your society in ways? And that's what happened at 9/11. That's what happened with Israel on the 6th, I think, the 6th of October. There are some relevance to it, but I don't necessarily would call it a 9/11. But that's not for me to decide. But I could draw the conclusion that um, they made victims of people, and people made victims of them. They made victims of the Palestinian people, and the Palestinian people had made victims of them. And we just will see how this goes. The problem we face is, will this broaden? Will Iran get in it? Will Hezbollah become a front? Will Syria um, become effective? Will Egypt have to
Well, they
offer
have the two
some
Americas
support?
line, but
Yeah,
but if you notice that a scheduled meeting was canceled
yeah, yeah. With
between the Arab
Jordan and
countries,
Egypt.
yeah,
Yeah,
that they're
but
saying,
that was because the hospital blew up, and I don't know if the other foreign ministers and president and them didn't see it in their interest to meet with Mr. Biden at this time, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
they didn't want they didn't want to have people in their streets. So
Here's an interesting aspect of this, though. We're in Belize tied to the U.S. In currency 2-1. It has worked in our favor, I believe. We're also tied in many other ways, and we have many Belizeans living in the U.S., and we are reliant upon the assistance we get from them, and in extension also from the U.S. of A. We have to be very, very careful. We nearly have to walk on tightrope here even when we have opinions that are strong,
Mhm.
in voicing them, because they in particular when it comes to like this, where it looks like war,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it looks very much like war,
Mhm.
then they look at everybody who's with me and who's
Yeah. Yeah.
against me, and
Yes.
who's not with me is against me, and
Yes.
they'll go after certain individuals. So I'm just saying that yes, we can be frank in our discussion. We might need to be unafraid, but we must also be aware of the
And
situation.
Belize has to protect its national interests.
Right, because yeah.
So I would not expect any minister of government to go out and criticize any of these actions but they could also always express their support for the suffering people of Palestine.
And I think that's very, very important, because, and I think this is what's happening even in the US, because many times it seems that the population of the US is going in a different direction from the politicians of the US. It seems the politicians are going one, but they will have their way, because they, of course, are the ones that pull the purse strings and all the other strings, the military strings and whatnot. But the entire population, and after a while, though, they will have to listen to the people. So enough people stand up and object and cry out, they will have to listen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to
Could I
say
ask you
one
a
of the
question? The all-out invasion that Israel had delayed, put on hold because of the weather. Do you know if they had resumed that invasion?
No, it's still on hold.
All right,
And
because it is
I don't
felt
think it was.
now, it
Uh,
is felt that the reason why it was not the weather, but I think they were cautioned that they could trigger Hezbollah and Iran to enter that war if they were to go with
well, Iran
that
did tell
all-out
them.
invasion.
Iran was firm with that. Iran told
That's
them
right.
that there would be repercussions if they continued bombing Hamas. Um, so I think they are showing restraint. Let's say this, a sensible restraint in holding off on that. And I don't think it has to do with moving the people out, because many of the people have decided, where are we going? We not got
yeah,
nowhere for
yeah,
go.
they're up against three walls and the
Yeah,
sea. They're up against three walls and
yeah,
the sea. Yeah.
it's crazy. Um,
I was
what?
going to say,
Uh,
you talked a little bit earlier about um, Biden and Trump and how they both face this, and I think one of the things we saw with Trump, he's a businessman and he kind of occupied the presidency as a businessman, and therefore he was willing to and war anywhere is not good for business, and so he was more willing to be amicable and to kind of establish peaceful relationships with Putin and with and putting pressure on NATO. I mean, look what happened under Biden. NATO has grown. NATO has more money than God now. You know, and so that all turned out pretty bad for Putin in this regard. But and but Biden is a institutional type of politician, you know. So he follows whatever that dogma was that set up, build NATO, build this, block this country, and do those type of thing. Don't talk to this guy, you know. I'm sure he they structured, because they structured the peace after the wall fell in a way that made it untenable for Russia to move forward and develop as a country after they had made agreement not to bring NATO on the step of Russia. So some of those things we kind of created for ourselves,
mhm.
and we have a vision of NATO that I really don't know what it is, because even now as they build it up, the Soviet Union is not even the size of they
Right,
have
right.
immense resource. They are a country with immense resource, but because of how it's managed and how it's used, it's not efficient, right? But the economy, I think, is even smaller than the United Kingdom, right?
But
And
what we saw too is that, take for instance Iraq, when America invaded Iraq, Russia didn't jump in there and throw anything, any kind of weight
Mhm.
behind that.
Right.
So they haven't proven to be as aggressive, let's put it that
Mhm.
way, as
Mhm.
the US, for instance, that
Yes.
jumps in everybody's war. And isn't what Ukraine with NATO establishing something, set up in Ukraine, similar to what was happening in Cuba in
Exactly.
1962
Exactly.
when
And we would not
America
we would not allow it. We could not
established a
tolerate it.
blockade that exists to this day,
Yeah.
that is still punishing Cuba for that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it seems almost hypocritical. And like I said, these are things that are plain and obvious. And no, it's not being so because we say it so. We are saying it so because we see it as so. And many people see it that way. So I think when we look at it realistically, we have to ask ourselves, I mean, and everything boils down to what is right and what is wrong. And I think forget religion, forget all of that. If you're in a situation, it's about what is right and what is wrong. And looking at this right now, what is right is that people have a right to defend themselves. What is wrong is that you don't have a right to be aggressive to people, be holding people down,
Yeah.
be punishing people. Then you don't have that right, I don't think.
Just imagine if Israel had take up the offer made to them to come and take over Belize after the Second World War. What situation the Black and Hispanic and indigenous people would have probably been under.
I've heard that. Is it true? Were they
It is
given?
true. It
They
is true.
were. They were a lot. They were. Belize was supposed to be third choice. I believe it
It
was
was
said.
it's somewhere in the choice it was, but I don't know
Yeah.
whether it was second. Someplace in Africa was a choice, was an
Right.
option, and then Belize was one of them. And then they
But
did not, the Jews did not want to come to Belize. They wanted to go to Israel, and so that was what was carved out for them. They were given a portion, and they keep expanding on it after the
right.
7 Day
Right.
War,
Right.
and taking more and more of the land that was in dispute, and they should have returned. They had agreed to return at some point, and then there's been some ways where Palestinian and Arabs have been forcibly removed from their land, and then it just turned over the next day. Jewish people are living in their homes and stuff, and they're homeless. So there's lots of things that's going on that we need to kind of figure out how to bring it about with a solution. And I don't see it. I don't see it. I
But
don't see it.
Gregory, imagine this: you a man, has you have your wife and your children, and you living on a piece of land that you have been working, and that is your land. And they come and just move you away, and tomorrow you look over there,
Yeah,
and there's somebody else sitting there occupying your land,
yeah,
and there's nothing you can do.
yeah,
These are the kinds of things I believe that drive people to drastic measures. What can I do? I mean, you just taken away, you emasculated me. I have nothing here.
yeah,
I have nothing left to lose.
yeah.
That is why I think they developed that mentality of, listen, man, yeah, you're probably gonna kill me anyway. But
Yeah.
I
You're
gotta do
killing
what
me
I gotta do.
slowly. You're killing me
Yeah,
slowly,
anyway.
and might as well take some of you with me. I mean,
There you go.
that's probably the thought of those people, because there's a saying. I think it goes like, you could kill my dog, you could kill my kids, you could do all these things, but when you take my land, my children will come back and revenge it.
Yeah.
My children will come back and revenge it.
But don't you think that the Jews had heavily financed Britain in this war against Germany? And the promise was that after the war, under the Balfour Declaration, was what created the Israeli state by the British.
This
Yes,
was
yes,
you're talking about World War II.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And
Yeah,
then
the Jewish bank
the
financed
state was
Britain.
created in 1948.
Okay.
Mhm.
But what happened, both of you were saying, the Israelis were not satisfied with what they had,
Right.
and they began to displace the Palestinians.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where got them to where they are, and now they're gone beyond.
Yes.
Because after the 6 Day War was when they occupied these territories. And then they begin to displace those also and claim that they need to keep them, the Golan Heights and
Yeah.
East Jerusalem, the Gaza.
Yeah.
They said that they needed it for security purposes and out of tradition.
Yeah.
And then they incorporated from the conquest of the 1967 6 Day War, they incorporated East Jerusalem into Israel.
Yeah.
And Trump encouraged that.
Yeah.
Because he moved the embassy there to show that he recognized East Jerusalem as a part of him, as a part of Israel. When in fact those places were indeed for the Palestinian people. So it has been an expansionary policy, just
Yeah.
as Hitler was.
Yeah.
So the Jews are doing everything that Hitler was doing in his expansionary policy.
Well,
And they have been
Joe,
expanding, and
Joe, you're not the heathen that our good friend Gregory is.
Oh, I'm a
What,
heathen now?
what do you what do you think about you're unbeliever? Let me put it there. Let me go mild. Unbeliever. What do
No,
you?
no, I have to defend myself. I always tell you, I believe. I just believe differently.
Okay.
I don't believe that God is there counting every hair in my head. Like, I mean, you'd have trouble with Joe. Look at his head, a full head of hair. But mine, he could
Yeah,
probably count mine.
yeah. It'll brush past you. But
but
but Joe.
I do believe in that there is a creator.
All right, good. I'll take you on your word. Joe is was raised a Catholic. I believe, right, Joe? Roman Catholic.
yeah.
You have me altar boy, all kind of thing, right?
No, not altar boy. No.
You never gone that far. All right.
You don't
I used to go to
say
the
that
altar,
now
but
with those
not
priest
at an altar boy.
behaviors.
Yeah, but do you take communion now when you go to church, Joe?
Yeah, I do.
All right, good. What do you? How do you see the narrative that suggests that the land was given to them by God? Do you believe that to be true?
It's coming back to issues that historians and archaeologists and these people who have done research on the Bible, and they have admitted that there was a certain part of the Bible which there is no evidence to support, although they agree that there were many parts of it. And they did a lot of it through archaeology and anthropology and history. So I don't know when he signed that declaration and gave this piece of land to the Jews.
Who get the title?
Yeah.
I know that there is a reverend in Belize country who speaks from his rostrum, which is a television station, and he makes it clear that he's supporting the Israeli because they were God chosen people.
Yeah. I think
So
that
from
fellow.
a Christian standpoint,
Yeah.
he endorsed the belief that these are God chosen people.
And Israel have a right to wipe out any people they deem as an enemy.
Yeah, I understand.
God gives immense power.
Yeah, well, he does. He does, Greg.
He even give nuclear weapons to some.
He does, Greg.
I know.
Yeah.
Nuclear weapons and bombs, and he says you could kill anybody you want.
You hear the tone. You see why I refer to him in the terms I do, right? So you're being very sarcastic, really.
But I think too, gentlemen, what you need to give recognition, though, that the Jews are some of the richest people in the world.
But
they own banks. They own some of the biggest banks.
Because they hoard money. They hoard money.
They are very wealthy people.
They hoard money. I mean, I don't think, Joe, in a world with so many poor people, that is something to applaud. I really don't.
No, it's not to applaud. It's to show you how they use their money.
But my question would be also
politicians and influence countries.
My question about the God chosen part is that they are also the most persecuted people on the planet, aren't they?
No, the black people are.
You think? Well, the
Most
Jews
definitely.
have been. Well, the blacks here were brought from Africa, and
they persecuted. They're hunted and persecuted even in Africa.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see the Jews as being any way more persecuted than the black people were. I'm saying it, of course, not to tell you that I really believe in it, but I read it. that one of the things that made Hitler became so hateful of the Jews, remember he is an Austrian by birth, right?
Uh-huh.
And while he was there in Austria, his father was a custom officer on the border. But what turned him against the Jews at that early age is that the Jews used to use the young Austrians as prostitutes. You know, these people are so avaricious for money that the artist has sculptor. I saw his picture there this morning at the Bliss. What's his Belide? Belide was studying in England at a scholarship he got, and the professor asked him how would he define a Jew. He said a Jew is a person who buy him the drum for $1, sell it for $1, and make a profit. Because the point he was trying to bring over is that they have this obsession for money.
And I imagine also a knack for knowing how to turn a profit,
That's
even
right.
when there seem to be none.
Historically,
That's right.
historically, they have always been the money movers of the world. You know, if you go
That's
way
right.
back to Babylonian period
That's
of
right.
time, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't hold anything against any Jewish person because they know how to do finance and are careful with money and that kind of stuff. I don't have a problem with that. They even finance the slave trade ships. They finance all the ships that brought slaves to the Caribbean and to the Americas. So I have no problem with that. That's just people making money. What I have problem with now is when they're using their power to oppress people and to control. They actually, I believe, control the United States Congress and United States presidency with their influence and their resources.
Well, they sure have a serious lobby when it
And
comes to,
yes,
to,
and
to getting them
and so,
elected.
and so most Americans, regular Americans that are not of that faith or that ethnicity, are disenfranchised by their own government because of small segment of very powerful control.
Rich
It allows their will to
to be
be
imposed.
placed above the interests of this nation. This country could have had much better relationship with the entire Arab world if they had been more measured in supporting Israel. And we wouldn't have oil prices right now heading for $300 a barrel and all those type of things going on. You see what I'm saying? So we have to be mindful of where we are, and it's not going to change. It's not going to change. It's not very soon that it's going to change. There'll have to be some changes, and I don't know how it will break out or how it will fall, but I know that the more we press certain type of ideology and behavior, the faster it will lead to what they're calling where this country is not being seen as the only option for as a superpower.
When they get to that point, is that when they'll run out of money because they don't seem to be
Well, you won't run out of
like they
money
can't
because
run out of money.
you can't run out of money because they print more. Ask Joe. He's a accountant and a banker and a minister. He knows government don't run out of money. They
Well,
just print
our
more.
government would. I mean, small governments like ours.
Yeah, they could print more and they could do a lot of things to create money supply. It devalues the money, but there's a lot. But you won't run out of money per se.
Yeah, I think they will have some. They will have some liquidity issues, but they won't become insolvent.
Yeah. They obviously have deep pockets. So, but we could talk the whole show about this. I tell you, and I'm very concerned because I think that it's going to affect us all. We see it already with prices of goods going up, skyrocketing actually, and then we haven't gotten to the point yet where we're not getting. Though the shelves do look a little emptier to me, but I'm afraid that it's going to get a whole lot worse before it starts getting better. So maybe we need to, like the old folks would say, ban your belly, soak your beard, because this to get ready for.
And start your own food security.
Well,
Belize
and
has the resources, the land, to take care of much of its more of it much more of its own food supply production capability, and not be buying popcorn and everything over from other places, and but or this or structure of our business is buy and sell. And so we need to kind of change that whole paradigm of how we see ourselves and what we do, so that we can start addressing some of these concerns, because inflation is up high. It's probably going to drop down a little bit as it is, but it's not going to go away. It's going to stick with us, and everything is going to become more costly, right? And so and what we're importing in many instances, not even good stuff. It's inferior product.
well, Gregory, because you're hitting on a key point there. Do you think maybe that our eating habits have gone too much on imported? We don't no longer eat the stuff we produce, but the stuff we import.
Yeah.
We want yogurt. We don't eat the um our daily rice and beans and chicken,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Mhm.
They're not that we eat anymore. We,
Right.
we, we, and we have to also be careful because we're relying on other groups here in Belize also, like the Mennonites and the Chinese, to
Mhm.
feed us. Um,
Mhm.
we
Well, I
use
don't mind them. I don't worry about that, because they're local and they have Belizeanized themselves to the extent that if they're there, they're supporting Belize. They're supplying that market. The money, we need to find a way to tax it and to make sure it stays and it doesn't just take flight, in ways that it circulate. We have that circular flow of cash in the economy and keep the economy vibrant, and a little, like one president say, a chicken in every pot. So that everyone is fed, so that everyone have resources.
have opportunities anyway to get
Yes,
something.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So you
But
think that these they're Belizean enough for us to embrace them and say, all right,
Yeah, yeah.
we
What are
can
you going to
rely
do?
on them for our food supply.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I have no
Yeah.
problem
Okay.
in relying on the Mennonites for, and they could, like you mentioned, yogurt. They could make yogurt. Yogurt is an easy byproduct of milk and different processes.
And they
So
do, by the way. Yes, they do.
yeah, yeah. So we
Joe.
could go
but
ahead.
Belize is a very open economy, as you're aware,
Yes, yes,
and much of what we consume is what we import.
yes,
And if you look at the gap between the import and the export, it has been widening.
yes.
Now,
And the tourism industry has made that even more so.
the appetite, the Belizean appetite, and I believe this comes out of where we are no longer, we don't have many of these mothers that are home economists.
Right.
They are mostly eating out, and some people too are eating more canned food. So when you look at the imports today, as Gregory pointed out, a lot of what we import, first, is certainly not healthy. It is very costly because we're importing inflation. And at the same time, we are not reducing the gap when the gap has been widened between the import and the export.
That can't be a good thing.
The only thing that has maybe helped us is because of the tourism, which again is not the best thing for it. But tourism now is about 40% or more of the GDP. So if it wasn't for that, I don't know how we'd have been
But we
able
see
to
what
pay.
happened the other day with COVID, didn't we?
Yeah.
When
That's
that
right.
took a nosedive.
Right.
So I think we can't rely on it. We can enjoy it while it's happening. But
Yes.
while that is happening,
We
I
need to
did think
diversify. We need to
correct.
diversify and build up our true economic potential in our food production
Provide
and in
alternatives.
other type of industries. And as I said, I have no problem in oil exploration. And like you said, the Mayans have now signed some concession to allow that. I hope that when they do that, that the sharing of the revenue is not just stuck with the government and the Mayan communal land people, but it's distributed so that it affects the entire breadth and depth of the country of Belize. That's has been my concern about the balkanization and the um, the concessionary land rights claim that they had won. That be pretty much vetted in a way that allows them those rights, because I believe that throughout the breadth of Belize, government should not just go and offer a concession. There should always be an environmental impact study. There should always be a consideration for the local people, whether they are Mayan, Creole, Garifuna, East Indian Belizeans, Hispanic Belizeans, whoever. I believe that there is a responsibility that government had failed to do. And so I am somewhat happy and proud in some respect that the Mayan people were able to hold the government in this way accountable to make sure that they approach them before they do things. And I hope it's an example to all other creed of Belizeans to be the same. I am a little bit concerned because I remember recently there was some seismic seabed testing that was stopped by a small group of tourism investors, and I know that we are all concerned, and we don't want to destroy the reef, and we don't want to destroy our pristine waters and all that. But I think it is also good to know what resource we have and what options we have. And I am very disappointed when we could make a small amount of people across the country stop a project that has greater benefit for all the people, when these tourism people are not bringing their money back to Belize. They're booking these hotels and all these things, and the money is on credit cards, and they're arriving in Belize. The money never see Belize and goes off to some offshore banking and stuff, and very little of it ends up in the hands of the government or the citizens of Belize, and just this very select group of people that have this offshore interests.
Now, an interesting thing, because if you remember when they did the drilling in Spanish Lookout, I was looking at the way the profits were shared, and a big part of it went to the landowners, the landholders, a percentage of it.
Yes.
And those, of course, were the Mennonites. I'm
Uh-huh.
wondering now if in PG, if they would find the land and oil and the land that belongs to that are now in the Mayan land rights thing, because there's a word that we need to consider, balkanization. No,
Yes.
we
Yes.
certainly want to be very careful with that.
Mhm.
But would now that part of the profit go now to the Mayan community, to certain Mayan leaders, to who?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We haven't set a structure of how that is to be done, and that's why I don't know yet how government had worked out that agreement with them to sort of let them go ahead and agree. I'm sure the deal is with the government, but the the Mayan group, because of their land rights claim, had to sign off on it, and I'm sure there's a portion sharing with that group. But
Well,
what I'm saying is, who is that group? What composed that group? How will that money be used? Will it be used for individuals, or will it be used for communal development, roads and hospitals and stuff? Or is that in the pocket of these whoever presume themselves to be the leadership?
now, Joe could help us with this, because I remember that the government had passed a law after after the oil was found there, that in fact whatever mineral is under the earth belongs to the government. That you can own the land, but you cannot own anything under that. Do you remember that, Joe?
Yeah, that's a law. It's under the
Yeah,
Constitution
but that
too.
has always been a
Yeah.
part of British common law.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know. That was
yeah,
something that was recently
It,
yeah,
it
passed.
yeah.
is
That
in
was
our
always.
laws.
No.
If any resources, oil, diamond, gold, any mining,
Yeah. You
if
do
it's
get
on public
royalty from
land,
it,
if
but
it's
you
on
don't own it.
public land, that is national land, then it goes everything to the government. But if it's found on private land, as in the case with BNE, then under the agreement that it was given, there is a royalty that goes to the owner of the land. based on the amount of
I'm
oil
not
that
hearing you that loud, Joe.
I'm saying that once oil is found on private land, there is a royalty that goes to the owner of the land,
Yes, yes,
which is a percentage of the revenue that comes from the oil.
yes, yes.
If it's national land, well, everything goes to the government.
Mhm.
But the point is that when it comes to what is under the ground, that remains for the people,
Yes,
whether it's private land or not.
yes, yes.
Which is where the oil would be, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The oil, the gold, the diamond, the bauxite, the uranium.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to some local issues. Did Shine apologize? He wrote a
we,
letter.
we spent 4 hours and we wasted a bunch of national ears and resources to for what purpose? It seems it was an empty barrel that was being sought, and to just try embarrass and weaken one man. I don't agree with necessarily what he said to the speaker, but it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. He didn't call her any derogatory name. He called her that on issues that may or may not be the whole truth in terms of being biased and being a PUP. And I think sometimes our government structure waste the resources of the people and have no regard and do not account for it, and feel that they could not have seen this anything more than self-patronizing. It was not in the national interest.
Are
It,
you speaking as an objective observer or as a UDP
no, I'm
sympathizer?
speaking as an objective observer. I'm not speaking as a
Okay,
UDP.
okay,
I've
okay,
never
okay.
voted for UDP in my life. My brother was a candidate for UDP once or twice, and I supported him. But I have never voted in an election in my life, and so I'm not speaking as a
I just wanted
UDP.
to clear that up. I just
No,
wanted
no,
to clear
no.
that.
I'm speaking in what I view as the national interest of the country.
What's interesting is that I don't think you're far off from Joe's point. Joe, if I don't know if you still maintain this point that you were making to me, that in fact you think the speaker might be too much a stickler for details, that maybe even as far as trying to um, muzzle the leader of the position. Are you?
Yeah,
Am I?
I think she has been a bit too restrictive, and he tend to quickly want to circumscribe speakers. And for example, you have an issue that you're going to speak on. Maybe it's about a bill. Now, all of these members in the House, I have heard them before, they will take an opportunity while speaking on that issue, but they will also speak of issues that may be not exactly relevant to the issue, but it has something to do with the party politics. Now, the speaker will not ever stop them and tell them stick to the issue. Now, the minute you begin to do that and you restrict members of the House, then it becomes difficult for you to be able to monitor that. Because how do you know when a person really is moving away from an issue? How do you define that?
Well, I believe you can. I mean, you know
Yeah,
if it's connected or
but
not.
you have to speak on it for a while before you realize you have drifted off the topic. Right?
You have to get an opportunity, of course, to say a few things. By the time you get it, you're done. And I think they do it. I see the trick in it. They do it quickly, and they get it. Yeah.
But I was gonna say, when you have 26 on one side and everybody say that a little bit of it and you only have 5 and 4 shows up and only 3 really speak, then I don't see it as an imbalance. I don't see it as a preponderance of unfairness when the
Allow them to
opposition
speak.
makes some of those points, because you have 26 people on the other side saying the same thing, even if they only manage to squeeze in 30 seconds of it before they get shut down, which they never do. Then by the end of the time, you have 25 minutes of promoting and politicking.
Greg, we were speaking about this. I don't remember if we spoke about it last week. But should the speaker be chosen from outside of the political parties? Maybe.
No, I don't know. I want the political party to have the speaker because that sets the agenda of what the National Assembly is, and it is the right of the winning party to have that agenda set. So I am not against it, but I would like a little bit more consensus. Maybe at least the prime minister, whoever is choosing the speaker, talk to the leader of the opposition or someone in the opposition party and try and get a little consensus or at least some decency, some rules and regulations of how they'll conduct the business of the House. We have seen failures of the House by speakers with Perifit, and we have seen it uh, with with the it was Perifit that removed Espat, and we have seen it now with some of the haggling going on with Shine and others. So I think that we do need to control it, and we do need to make the speaker more effective, more accountable, and more disciplined in trying to not make themselves the issue. See, the speaker should be invisible in the House.
That's right.
And it should not be a speaker removing just because they feel this removing a member of parliament. That to me is one of the greatest breach
That's right.
that could be done by anyone, and much less the speaker. They have that tremendous power that they can do it, but I think it should not be done lightly. And yeah, that's all I'll say about it.
Well, the speaker is there to moderate.
Yeah.
But the speaker is not there to try to circumscribe a member of the House and when he's speaking on a topic.
But there are times when they go overboard or out of line, and you have to.
There is. I don't. The only way you will go overboard if you decide you want to take off your shoes and stone the other side with it.
Yeah.
But to me, by just the choice of words, the issue that I'm speaking on.
Joe.
No. Let me ask you the question.
Democracy have wide latitude,
Yes, Let me ask you the question. Here is a supplementary before the House. The government comes wanting 50 million. The government was very brief in the supplementary bill. Now you, the opposition, will speak because the other side will support it. Now when the government side, who bring the bill, supports it, the government side is very likely going to glorify the project. And then he will take a swipe at the other side and make remarks that, this is not like when you are in government or you abuse these finances. They do it. Now here is the opposition who get up to criticize the bill. And because the opposition decided the criticism of the bill, he's knocking down the project. He's referring to the other side that when they brought something like this, they had criticized it before. I don't understand how you could be so restrictive. I think that the best thing to do is to leave them to talk.
Yeah.
Unless they begin to get very unruly in the sense of using obscene words.
Yeah.
Being derogatory to others, disrespectful.
Yeah.
But to me, the issue are how much outside of what you want to decide the issue.
Yeah.
That I must start. No, I don't think you can tell me how I will support the issue or how I want to go against the issue.
Yeah. I've seen.
I think for a while, we had example with the last UDP speaker, or maybe not the last one, but the one before the last, and with this one now, where they are making themselves some prominence and putting themselves in a position that's not subscribed to democratic principles.
That's right.
The parliament should be able to debate, and it should get raucous, and it could get crazy, as long as they don't start fighting and shooting each other and stuff. I think they could debate and could get a little noisy if that's what it takes.
I've seen some examples of other parliaments that have been rambunctious. I'll tell you that. I've seen
Yeah,
some Indians, and
we've
they
seen
go
fist fight.
almost to blow in England.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe ours isn't tame compared to that, but I think the people's business ought to be paramount. And a lot
Yes.
of times I find that they get into frivolous arguments. I'm
Well,
wondering if
our
the
house is
speaker
very disorderly, and it's not very intellectual. I look at it and I go,
yeah,
I
yeah.
go, man, you guys could raise this a level that
But can the speaker maybe help to implement that raise in level that you're speaking
they
of?
can the speaker can make a difference, but I think there also needs to be, and I know there's some there, when people become new parliamentarian, there are training they get and stuff that kind of help them, but sometimes you can't tame the beast. I gather.
Yeah, well, but you're saying if you tie their hands, then certainly can't. But
Yeah.
maybe if you leave their hands a bit loose, they might be able to do something. But I don't know about being invisible, and because the speaker has a role, a very important role to play, and I don't know.
And it's just this. It's just the role of the speaker is to promote the debate and discussion, and
But
to
to guide
and,
it, she has to guide it, and in
well to
and
keep it orderly.
I,
and demand decorum. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to. I don't think the speaker needs to guide the discussion.
Yeah.
No, the speaker is not there to guide the discussion.
Yeah.
No. No. I don't know. I don't think I think you use the word guide. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And I mean, but at least make sure that they remain within the context of the issues, the arguments that's raised. Because you know that they go way off many times.
Yeah.
In my
I-
judgment, I think they do. But
Yeah.
again, I don't think.
You think that's
the
okay?
duty of this. It's not
Yeah,
the duty of
I
the
don't think
speaker
it's
to
bad
interrupt
either.
them. Leave
But who
them.
will do it?
Nobody should do it. Leave them. You remember Goldsmith?
Why? But that you have
You remember when there was 17-1?
yeah.
Goldsmith spoke almost about 15, 16 hours.
Yeah.
Yes, when the parliament was upstairs or where the Supreme Court building is now.
Yeah.
Goldsmith spoke. It's a marathon.
But I don't know that pointing out the absurd justifies the kind of behavior you suggest.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not the absurdity I'm pointing out. I'm simply saying that you need to be careful who you want to straight jacket or circumscribe a member of the House.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Be careful, but it has to be somebody has to be there to ensure that they stay within the guidelines of the standing orders. There are standing orders, and what's the use of having them if you're not gonna implement them or abide by them? And there has to be
But I understand what
a
you're saying, and I
police.
think, but I'm just saying that, and I think what Mr. Koei is saying, there needs to be tolerance by the speaker, and they have to exercise the most discretion when they want to rein things in, because they have the only power they have is given to them by the members of the House. They're not elected. They are just there to be a little referee and to kind of keep the process flowing, but they should not in any way be inhibiting the debate, tampering the debate, or promoting one side ideology and ideas over another. That's
It's
so.
obviously not an easy job.
No,
And
it's not.
it's made more difficult when they
And it's
also
made more
have
different by an intolerant person.
well, they also have to keep their job and earn their money. So remember and right, and this was my point about having them a bit more objective,
Yes.
and impartial.
Yeah,
Though,
I agree.
though I don't know how you're gonna get that if you're also gonna have them appointed by the government of the day.
No, because I think it could be done, because we have had, like Mr. Cowie said, we haven't been. The whole world has changed, and people are becoming more rambunctious and less respectful of each other. But I still think there are ways to bring about and for even the prime minister that appoints them to be cautious in his appointment, to make sure he's not getting a rabid dog and I'm not calling anybody a dog, so I don't want them to hold me up. but to get someone that is so into it that they will sequel any type of debate and participation and such by the opposition. They need to be tolerant.
What happens, gentlemen, is that before every House meeting, there's a caucus by both parties. The government side has a caucus. In that caucus, the senators come, all the ministers are there, all members of the House. And at that caucus, you go through the things that will go before the House. There are times when, depending on the bill or the motions going before the House, at that meeting, the Prime Minister, along with, of course, the ministers and the representatives, sorry, not ministers, because they're all representatives in the House, will even agree on who will speak and when on that particular topic. So if the topic is one that maybe has the expertise of a certain discipline, he looks in his cabinet. The person who will introduce the bill has to introduce the bill. But he looks in his cabinet to see who can speak most persuasively on the bill.
Yeah.
But it don't mean every 26 must speak or the 25 must speak. No, some of them don't need to talk at all.
Yeah, that yeah, I understand that, and that makes sense. But it doesn't address the issue of
And then, oh, sorry too. What to me is important, and this is where the speaker should exercise more discretion, and I think Mr. Gregory pointed it out. You are dealing with 26 to 5. And with that 5, one of them don't go, so I left 4. And sometimes there are only 2 there that speak. The speaker should just leave the 2 to talk.
No, I don't think so. I see you're dealing with the people's business first of all, which is more important than getting the opposition a voice or even the
But
ruling
that's the
party a
people's
voice.
No, but then,
business. That's the
Mr.
people's
sorry,
business.
Yeah, but so
but
then
Mr. Chairman,
Those two representatives represent
you are
probably
dealing.
45% of the population of the
but they're
voting
not
public in Jamaica.
necessarily speaking.
No, but you say it right, Mr. Chairman. You are dealing with the people's business, not the speaker's business.
Yeah.
It's the people's business. No, if when you speak from the constituency which you come from, on any matter, how you speak in that parliament will help to determine the kind of support you will get out there. It's not for the speaker to decide that.
Yeah.
It's the people's business, not the speaker's business.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
let's why the man and thief
Let's
the plane?
table this.
Let's say why they thief the plane, boy? I mean, what are these people thinking about? Really? What you think going on there? Well, they may a suicide and a kamikaze move because they certain they never fly along.
Yeah, they said they turned back and they clipped the power line and the plane went down. So
I didn't hear that part. Then Ghana turned back. Where they turned back?
yeah,
for?
they turned back. I guess some people said they probably realized the plane didn't have fuel. I don't know if that's the case, but that was what I heard because they turned back in short orders after the takeoff.
Oh, I thought it was they took off and then crash.
No, they
no, I was in Placentia. As a matter of fact, it was a terrible day for me because I had to get up to the city for a meeting in the evening. And I will share something with you after they talk about the crash. They went in there, as was given to us at the time, and they held up the security. Which my first concern is if they held him up, how did they know where the key is for that plane?
There is no key. It's just a turn on switch.
Right. That's the first thing, the turn on switch. So therefore, when they hold up the security, I believe that those planes should be locked in the night. In other words, the doors should be locked. So if the turn on switch is inside, most of you should lock the doors. That's one we were talking about. Then they left the airport. They moved off. The plane went up. The people in the area felt that there was a turning back. That's why they said the plane turned back. And it was not far from the airport, just maybe about maybe 200 feet. And he got hooked on a line for one of the power lines. And that's why he crashed and went down. Now, we can only speculate as to, so far we don't hear anything from the police. But what I find quite distressing is that we found out about it because the morning, primarily there was no electricity. And then now the time come now, I'm going on a 8:30 flight. I get my taxi, rather than take me, I just tell them to drop me at the airport. And my way up there, the guy told me the airport is closed. And what I wanted to point out here now, imagine there was this flight, it didn't anyway damage the airport. The airport was quite functional. But I expect that they want the scene to be remain pristine for the investigation by the police. And you know that day, and I'm sure the failures of our various institutions, public and private, people are there who want to catch international flight to get to the international airport. They can't get any answers. They can't get out. Then the airline told one and tells a group of them, if you want to get a flight, if you want to get to Belize, you need to get to Tangriga. Well, I tell you, the way how we conducted the business that day, I can understand why people coming to this country realize that we are not ready. The airline cannot tell you anything. You contact the airport authority, they cannot. You contact the police, they cannot. If I had just continued to try to get information, I would have never left that day. So I do. I got it. I got in my vehicle, and I went to the airport.
In
When I
Dangriga.
got there at the airport, the owner was there, Mr. Zabani.
Well, the one in Placencia. This is the one in Placencia you went.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because now I want to get out from Placencia to come to Belize, but nobody there. Neither the airlines, none of the airlines, neither the police, none of the airport
Well, the on the
authority.
plane crash, we expect.
No, but the plane didn't crash, and it had nothing to do with the airport itself.
Yeah, but the mega more plane, how much plane they got?
Man, enough planes were left on there. I think about 6 planes were left that night.
Okay.
Because what happened when they do those flights, some of them, the destination coming from north and south is where they stay. Then the morning early they leave to go to the different destinations, the next flights. Well, when I got there, the owner was there. 2 workers from the airline was there. And the airport authority was there. So I asked, I said, what is the position? We cannot find out what will happen when we resume flights. It was then the guy tell me, well, Mr. Koi, when you want to go? I tell him, well, as soon as possible. He said, well, we'll have a flight at 2 o'clock. So this was about 12:30. The point I want to make is this. Here were people, tourists, locked in there and can't get no answers as to how to get out. 9/11 was bad, but...
Well, how you get your answer? By knowing the owner?
No, I went to the airport
But
because I wanted to know what was happening. I thought that the police had the area still locked down.
so these people who were trying to get out, didn't they go to the airport also?
No, because they were told that the airport is closed. So they never think about going. The same thing with me in the beginning. I never think about going. I said I will wait and then keep in touch with the airline.
Well,
The airline couldn't even tell you
Yeah.
what is likely to happen.
we do need to streamline our information processes and things like that. Even on 9/11, the United States had issues with having police stalking to fire and all that. And after 9/11, they streamlined it. And today, I'm designing DAS system all over the country to make sure that they have that interoperability between all those agencies and departments. So those kind of things get worked out sometime only in crisis. So I understand what you're saying.
I was
Well,
in 9/11.
communication is the key, obviously, no?
Yes.
I was in 9/11. I was at the airport looking to come back to Belize.
Mhm.
When I looked at it, I was watching the TV. Then all of a sudden, I saw this plane crash. I thought it was a movie.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. But I want to tell you the truth. It was shortly after they asked us to evacuate the airport. Get our luggage and leave. And they told us what happened. Well, I will tell you this. From thereafter, you can call at the airport and they will give you information.
Yeah.
They keep you informed.
Yeah.
Some of them, they send message to you because they know your number, everything.
Yeah.
And that's the point I wanted to make.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I mean,
we
they-
need
they-
to develop that. We need to develop that
And
type of
imagine,
communication resource.
anyhow, I only put that as an aside to tell you how maybe we need to improve our
Yeah,
performance.
yeah.
Well, there are
Before we
lots of
can try.
areas we need to improve in. I mean,
But coming back to the
that is a fact.
speculation, what's the speculation? As anybody hear anything about what was the purpose of?
Well, that's the thing. So,
Mhm.
the speculation is that there were some drugs they wanted to move, that maybe they were even taking the plane out of the country, going somewhere else. Maybe pick up some drugs or bring it, or just pick up some and drop it somewhere and leave the plane like they do with the other planes. Because many planes that come in, they just bring the
So
drugs in.
they're stolen. Many of them.
But that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
We didn't look at that before,
Yeah.
but looking at it now, probably they are stolen planes,
Yeah.
and that's the way they do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would take it from here unless they have some drugs stashed somewhere where they were going to move, maybe up north or something.
Yeah.
I the, again, that's just speculation at this point.
Well, they
I
say dead man tell no tales, right?
Yeah, so we can't ask them.
Let me ask
So-
you something,
Uh-huh.
because this what happened in Placentia triggered something. Planes don't fly in the night because we don't have the kind of lighting situation there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, this was supposed to happen like 4 in the morning thereabout, which it was still dark. It seems to me then that these planes that have been landing here in Belize, don't you think there have to always be coordination with somebody on the ground?
Yep.
Because how do those planes just land?
God, there's always somebody there to help them unload. And what do you think they get it off so quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what I mean, yeah, that's a part of it. But what I mean is
Yeah.
that to direct them with lights where they have to land.
Well, there are a number of
Because they are
police
landing in the
officers have
night.
been
In most
arrested.
cases, they are landing in the night, it seems, in the dark of night now.
We have police officers right now on interdiction for that, for assisting with that. So
Not only that, some of the isolated communities we have
that
been,
too. So
have
I
been
don't
used
doubt.
as landing strips and stuff.
Do you remember one time when they used to land it on a highway up north?
Yes.
Right.
And they
and
cut the poles. And
Yeah, they
all
put
type
some
of
poles
stuff.
up and then they cut down the poles and land them anyway. These guys, they go to some expense to get this done
Yeah.
because there's a lot of money involved.
Yeah.
So, I've always felt that the only way you're going to stop it is to stop the demand. Maybe they need to put all the people in a drug rehab, and hopefully we can make them stop wanting it so bad. Because
Or
now
you,
they
could,
want it.
or you could legalize it.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting discussion.
That is much more in the part.
Do you believe they should legalize cocaine, for instance?
Yes.
Okay. Um,
Prostitution.
how about the drugs?
Yes.
How about drugs that are the enhancement drugs that they use, athletic enhancement drugs, the athletes? Do you think they should legalize those?
Yes, I don't have any problem with it. We take something every day for something. Just a certain amount of it, we make some discretionary decision that this is bad or this is too much or this particular use of it is illegal. But every day we take something to make us better. We put on glasses to make us see. We take pills to make us not have headache. We take drugs to make us a little smarter. We take stuff to make our heart keep its rhythm. All these things we do, and then we come about and we say, oh, and a lot of these things are based on religious premise, and so we need to, if we were to get rid of some of those dogmas.
Do you really think the restrictions on drugs, that one religious thing as opposed to one health issue where they're trying to protect the athletes?
Well,
listen, we're saying
I don't know if it's protecting the athletes, because we send these athletes out and we let them bang their head against each other and then they get brain hemorrhage and stuff, and then how are we protecting them? We do all type of stuff that is not in furtherance of protecting people in anything. And so I don't have any problem with athletes consciously making a decision to that this is going to help me run faster. There's the side effects of this, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to run faster while I run faster.
I'm interested enough. I feel the same way. I'm with you
Ah,
on this one.
ah,
I do. I believe that as long as they understand the dangers involved and
yes.
they still want to do it, I'm gonna enjoy a better competition.
Yeah,
Let
and
me.
it's like some experimental drugs that they use for cancer stuff. You know that maybe this thing will do something and you will die from it
Right,
because it will cause bleeding.
or
But
it
if
might
I
help.
take it, it might also further my life or give me life when I would have none. So those are the decisions, and I accept those.
Do you believe that, let's use the Tour de France. Do you believe it is okay to put a little motor on the bicycle?
No,
No, no,
no,
that's a different thing.
no.
But you
That's a
think it's
different
all
thing.
right for them to use these
If
enhancing
they
drugs?
equally choose to use it, and they
All of them have the same option to it. Yeah.
yeah. You
Okay.
choose
So
not
it's
to use
not
it.
that you want them to do it on their own natural skills and talents. You
Well,
don't want
what
them
is
to
No,
use
no,
it
natural
on
skill
no,
their
and
I
natural
talent?
don't know
skills and
what I
talents.
don't know what that natural talent. All of they drink special water. They drink you know the
But
talent.
here's the thing, though. Look at a man like Lance Armstrong. I know people who train day and night. They will never ride like that fellow. So maybe they're not just the drugs that does it, because he still has to go out there and do all the training and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
And you know
Drugs may
what?
give him the endurance. It may
So,
help his particular muscle.
some of the stuff that they have on the list of drugs, you find in our cough syrup,
Yeah,
and they've had at least who have been disqualified
yeah,
because
yeah,
they took a certain medication before.
yeah, yeah.
I believe that they ought to be allowed, and we're gonna see better sportsman. Really,
Yeah.
they get no superhuman. You know what I'm saying? But you will have people who will
Oh,
compete.
they have no restraint when they're making a military weapon out of you.
Well, indeed. So that I think that I am with you on this one, Greg. We really let them take what they want. Just make sure that there's a warning on it
Yeah,
on what can happen. Like just like cigarette, this might
yeah,
kill you. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
If you really want to take it, then all the other ones also have the same option.
yeah.
Now, I wouldn't want to make some could take it and some can't
No,
take it.
no, 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 no,
That
no.
would be unfair.
I'm saying if you want to take it and you take it, that's fine with me. I have no
Yeah, that's
problem.
right. Yeah, dead, you're dead.
Enhance your performance, and then that's fine.
Yeah.
It's a falsity to say we are concerned about the health and well-being of these athletes when we do just the opposite on every other area of what's right. You
So
know.
getting back to the
Let
real
me
issue.
follow up.
So the
Okay.
issue is that most of the time the balance of why it is objectionable is based on religious premises and dogma.
But I don't think the
I
drug.
don't think that one is religious.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You
I
don't
don't
think
think.
drug use is religious? You don't think
No,
No, no,
not taking drugs
not in
no.
the case of the
I-
not in the case of the athletes.
Or
The
or
Olympic
even
Association.
maybe not in terms of athletes
or
specifically,
even
but
the
I'm
drug.
talking about drugs. I'm talking
Even
about
like the
drugs.
cocaine and the other
Yeah,
stuff like that.
those are religious. Those are
How
religious.
comes? But show me how. Show me how.
They believe that it's just like alcohol. The religions for a long time were against alcohol use and such. They're against cocaine use. They're against anything that they feel
But just because they're against it, ju-
alter the mood to so you can't receive the Jesus they are offering you.
Could
well,
uh,
go ahead, Joe.
can I put this point to you?
Yes, sir.
You talk about a level playing field in competition, right? As it is in business, so is it in sports. Now, you have athletes who will say, I'm not going to take those enhancing drugs. You
Okay.
can't force it on me.
Okay.
And then some will take it. So
Okay.
you think that will be fair competition?
Well,
If
yes.
they don't want to take it, that's their
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
They won't be
Okay.
competitive if
Correct.
that enhances
But-
the
but-
competition and
but
make
I
them
don't-
less competitive.
I don't think that's true either. It's not that they won't be competitive, because some of them are good even without that.
Well, that's why I said that's why. Well, I'm thinking that if it is truly because typically in basketball they say you have to be 6 foot and plus, right? But in basketball there are some 5 foot plus people, right?
Spud Webb was 5'4".
Yeah,
Did you ask?
and they perform well because they're exceptional athletes, right? So some people will do it and it will help their performance and make them outstanding. Some people don't have to do it because of just their athleticism and their ability, that they will perform exceptionally without it. But it's their choice. They
You
will
thought-
they will weigh the value of it, what it will do for their career versus what it will do for their longevity and potential well-being in terms of health, if it does have a devastating or ill effect health
Okay, can I ask you all this? Do anyone of you know why these regulatory bodies ban the use of it? Have you read or find out why they do it?
Well, Gregory is saying religion.
No,
I
it's not
disagree.
religion.
Oh, well, I think it has a lot to. I think the stigma on drug, a lot of it has to do with religion.
No, but do we know? Do you know for a fact why is it that the regulatory bodies?
Do you know, Joe? Do you know?
No, I don't know. The only thing I know is that when I went to the Olympics in South Korea, and I did discuss the issue of enhancing drugs. And I never did ask, well, why is it that the association or the Olympic Association or any of them ban it? The talk was that simple, that we should allow human beings to compete on their natural talents. But I didn't get from the association itself. I didn't read anything on it as to why they disallow it. But
Well,
it's
I
good
think-
to know.
I mean, some people are complaining when people go and get oxygen. You know, some people go and get oxygen before they do their physical thing, and they say, "Oh, you're overdosing on oxygen, and it's illegal." So
Have you heard of any group that is protesting against it to allow them to free it up? Like what they do maybe in drugs like marijuana and whether they call for deregulate.
We jump on this one out without any.
Right.
What happened to us sometimes? And I would like to know that we were going to talk about it, then I'm going to research it.
I know.
Well, listen, we could talk about it some more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
certainly.
it's good for us to research it, because if it is something that people were supporting, you would have read about it or seen about it.
Yeah.
Well, we're not saying that
there's
that
some
people
good
are
reason why they
supporting it.
don't
There's
allow
no mass. Most people don't even care about it, actually. Well, they care that they don't want. Most people don't want the drugs. I don't think religion is the reason. I think that they're on a health thing. They figure the athletes could die if they they push themselves too far.
Some people say you'll die because you play football, you know, and some people do die. Some people do become whatever they call it when their brain gets slushy because they bang themselves. So I don't think it's the overwhelming concern of people. If you push yourself and ride it, most riders and those people, they become arthritic over time.
That's very true. You have a lot of
so there are
side
always these debilitating consequences.
You have a good argument, Gregory. You have a good argument.
That's a point.
Unfortunately, we're not in a position, and I don't know if you care that we would do it one way or other. It's an argument that I have looked at, and I feel the same way you do. Really, that I don't see why they banned and many of the little, like I said, cough syrup ingredients. Ridiculous. You know, take a person like Marion Jones, who trained and was so good at what she did. And she now, of course, the problem with her was not even that she took it, but that she lied about taking it. I believe something like that.
Nobody tell the truth about taking it, you know.
Yeah, so maybe
and now that poor young lady can't even go into an Olympic stadium. You know, it's just terrible what they did.
It is stupid. Let's be real.
Terrible what
let's
they
use
did.
the right word. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. And I've heard Belizeans condemn her now as opposed to applaud her. And
Yeah.
as I look at her, she's a disgrace now. And I don't think so. I think she
I don't think
performed
so.
well.
I don't think so. I don't
She
think so.
made her mark.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I hope to God we not hear Simone Biles at some point. The same situation. No, she
No.
I think
apparently
that
she's back and doing well. No, well,
Yes,
I
yes,
think
she's doing an outstanding
we
job.
were unduly harsh with Marianne Jones.
I think yeah, we
Yeah,
we
we were.
Belizeans were too. Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
she
we
was at
were.
the peak
And
of
you
her,
know what?
when she was at the peak of her success, she
Yeah,
remembered us.
yes.
yeah. And you know,
And she
I
made a
felt,
mistake. Let's say she made a mistake.
yeah. You know,
We
I
should be more
always
sympathetic with her.
Yeah. I always felt bad, Mr. Joe, that our government did not even write a letter in support of her. And I don't know what it would have done, but I thought it would have been good to just to say the people of Belize supported her and that we wish her well and something to the Olympic Committee. And
You
we would
know,
have hoped they would have
I agree there
reconsidered.
100%.
We
Gregory,
should have done that.
Gregory,
We should have been there for her.
to that
Yes.
point, I remember after Marion Jones ran around the stadium, I went to get a haircut at Jeff Scott Barber Shop. And I met a fellow, an athlete at the door.
Mhm.
And he was saying, he said, boy, me no know where all the fuss, but me not see what Marion Jones do for Belize. And I was taken aback. I said, boy, you must be crazy.
He
You
blind.
can't, you don't
blind.
see.
He blind.
You have to be blind to not see that.
You never seen that flag when we got by back?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
the flag, I wonder what you may ever think about that. Because, well, this we're got a few minutes to waste away here. Do you think that she did that? She knew deliberately, or was the flag handed to her and with all that
She
adrenaline?
handed to her, but she was excited to do it.
Right.
She participated fully. She ran around a full track with, I think, or at least a good half track with her flag.
But I think maybe she shouldn't have.
Say that Belize is part of me.
I think
And I'm part of Belize.
I think maybe she should have thought about it if she did it deliberately. I don't think she did really, because she should have carried the American flag first. Then later on, if you want to bring the Belize flag, do that.
So
But-
you think the American system prosecuted her, or
Well, no, I think the American system created her, gave her the opportunity to be
Yeah.
what she was.
Yeah.
You see, she would not have been that in Belize, growing up in Belize. Let's put
of
it
course
that
not.
way.
Of course not.
So I think she needed to, and America is funny with that.
Yeah.
America no play part loyalty, you know. America want full. You know what? You know what America
somebody
call?
mentioned that to me too, but I don't know if that was really the
America
case.
call their athletes all Americans. You need to be all American.
All Americans, huh?
And I think I've said this before also, that this might be the problem that Belizeans who are dual citizens wanting to go run for office in Belize might
I know
face.
you were going to get there, but before you go there, I wanted to big up the robotics team that came in second.
How
again
about that?
this
How
year.
about that?
Yeah.
You know,
Seems
it
like those
was,
guys have a little secret going on there.
but it was sometime quite a while ago, about 12 years ago. I met a guy from the U.S. Embassy. We became friends, and he was approaching a fellow that I know down in Belize, and was asking if he would like to be a part of our robotics program. And at that time, I wasn't even aware of something like that. And the guy declined it, and it turned out apparently somebody took up on it, and I was proud to see that we are doing well in that. Are we building robots then? I mean, that's one good idea. Good thing.
At least it gets us in the mind of thinking technology, thinking smart, thinking about industrialization, thinking about business opportunity and those type of things. It's planting those seeds in our young people to be creative and industrious. So,
But
I like that.
There's something too, and I wonder, because Belizeans excel in many areas when they go abroad, in particular when they get exposed to the proper infrastructure and training and whatnot. We do well. We can't seem to do the same as well at home. What are the
So then
problems?
what do we think?
The environment?
Environment and opportunities. We have a very stifling environment in Belize for most part, you know. You have to align
This
yourself.
is not a religion. This is politics.
This is
Yeah,
politics.
yeah.
You have to
I
align yourself with one political party, and no political party lasts forever. So
Correct.
at some point, you're going to feel the hammer, and it's devastating for any person that's trying to do a business, develop a business, because business don't happen in one cycle. It happens over a long period of time. You got to build it, you got to nurture it, and then it start doing what business does, and that's yielding benefit to the owners and the investors and the employees.
when I saw that, I was very impressed because what came to my mind that the status symbol has changed. There was a time when you get this degree with medicine, with law, and you would come back and how they will glorify you and hold you highly. But to see how the status symbol changed towards more the engineering and the technical side, which is what Belize needs. So I am saying I didn't realize that our children, our young students were doing this kind of thing. What school were they from?
It's that preparatory school.
Must be Belize Elementary.
Yeah, I think.
It certainly wasn't Ebenezer, one of them.
No.
Belize Elementary?
Yeah, that I'm sure that when I don't know. I don't know.
I think that's the name.
I don't know.
It's the same one from last year.
Yeah, but these guys are well, they come from families that are nuclear families mostly, and supportive families. So it helps a lot when you have your parents in the home guiding you and encouraging you in constructive things. It helps a lot as opposed to why just go do your homework and go eat, drink your tea and go sleep. There's a difference.
A nuclear family is always best, right?
Will it come? We're close to the end here, guys. We're going to change time at some point soon, and we're going to have to. Well, I imagine we're going to change.
We could go back to 5 o'clock again, right?
You're all right. Well, remember, we in Belize don't change time.
Yeah. No, I mean 5 o'clock. Put it back for us to 5 o'clock. So,
5 o'clock your time.
Yes.
And then where we start? What, 6 o'clock your time now?
Right. We're starting.
You're thinking that you would start at 5 instead.
That's correct.
And then
we end 8 your time. We end 8 your time in Belize.
So we start 6 Belize time instead, and start 8. And see why we have to discuss it. Make we talk about it. Coming up, right? All right. Guys, it's been a pleasure once again. Thank you, folks, for listening. Remember, if you want to be a guest, let us know. If you have anything you want to contribute, please do so. We're out of here next week, guys. Peace up.
Good night, Mr. Corey.
All right.
All the way from out of the Belizean jungle. Me get my teachings from the monks out of the Mayan temple. Them say
See, Smoke.
humble, gentle, and respectful. But if I hear text them after the move on the double, so think you blink, I like the Bermuda triangle. We know the chicos. Oh. Tackle. That is time we use when we battle. Tackle. Mash up kung fu hard, your man settle. Tackle. We make drunken monster drink snapple. And if your hair snap up on the crackle, otherwise skills dark, tiger tackle. We no come to the dance, this seek trouble. We come for hear him boy bubble. In me pocket, big fat bungle. Me and me girl with the model. It's fool start to act simple. With everybody, boy want rumble. Make a wrong turn, take a wrong angle. Face to face with the tiger tackle. Well, see how they fool the chimble. Cause him know him brains that get scrambled. We no play when we buck up the devil grave. They don't need work, must use him shovel. Tiger tackle. That is time we use when we battle. Tiger tackle. Mash up kung fu hard, your man settle. Tiger tackle. We make drunken monster drink snapple. And if you hear snap, pop, and a crackle, otherwise crispy, dark, tiger tackle. We know the jingle fool, we know the jungle. We know the mumble, grumble, no fumble. If the tiger patch you want come stumble, then you know your cage must get rackled. Right quick, bust up your blood vessel, monks your heart, I'm an nestle. About a test, mission impossible. From your own spinal cord you are dangled. Hotter than water from a kickle, like you get what with piece of metal. Before you take your life, come here, come gamble. Play Russian roulette with a loaded rifle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. That is time we use when we battle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. Master kung fu hard, your main settle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. We make drunken master drink snapple. And if you hear snap, pop, and a crackle, otherwise crispy, dark, tiger tackle. We don't come to the dance, this seek trouble. We come for hear him boy bubble. In me pocket, big fat bungle. Me and me girl with the model. It's fool, start to act simple. Well, everybody, boy, want rumble. Make a wrong turn, take a wrong angle. Face to face with the tiger tackle. Well, see how they fool the chimble. Cause him know him brains that get scrambled. We no play when we buck up the devil grave. They don't need work, us use him shovel. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. That is time we use when we battle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. Master kung fu hard, your main settle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. We make drunken master drink snapple. And if you hear snap, pop, and a crackle, otherwise crispy, dark, tiger tackle.